Okay.
Nice to
Welcome
face
to another
you.
episode of Overrated. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or something, and you'd like to see our beautiful faces, or the reason that we're podcasters and not YouTubers, this episode's on YouTube and we're recording it, so you can come check us out there at our new channel. Otherwise, we'll get into our episode today. We are talking about the movie Three Idiots, Bollywood movie. So that's pretty cool. My name is Sujay.
I'm Girish.
I'm Will.
Can we establish an order like we did last time?
Yeah, Girish, Will, Kelly, and Brian.
All right, sounds good.
So I just said everyone's names.
But...
Yeah.
We'll start. Well, you can cut all that up. Start from like introducing yourself again.
This is authentic.
Right. No editing. It's minimal editing.
This is authentic.
People want to see how stupid we are.
Yeah, but if you want to do names again,
if only we could have recorded the past half hour where we couldn't record ourselves.
Right.
All right.
It is.
Right. I'm Sujay.
I'm Girish.
I'm Will.
I'm Kellyanne.
I'm Brian.
Cool. All right. Now we can get into it. I sent you guys this question before, but for everyone listening at home, before we start the show, I asked you guys this question. If you weren't in engineering, we're all in engineering, and I can't speak for the others, but I think we all like chose engineering on our own. We weren't like pressured to do it by our parents or anything. So engineering is probably your primary choice. But if you weren't doing engineering, what would you do with your life? Does anyone have an answer they're passionate about?
So other than the cop-out answer that I was gonna do, because I was gonna say physics or astronomy, but that's basically my major right now. So I don't want to say that because that's like a cop-out, It's like basically the same thing. So I actually said that I actually
NBA player.
If I could be an NBA player, then that's number one. If I could be an athlete, like 100%. But no, but actually though, I really enjoy teaching. So I would actually be down to become a teacher of some sort.
Which
Girish with the education major.
Yeah, honestly,
which, I mean, grade level.
Elementary, middle
like,
school,
honestly,
high school.
Probably high school, but like, because the thing is, I don't know, I might want to end up teaching later after all of this stuff. But as of now, my current only option is going to be an engineer. But I really enjoy teaching, so that would probably be the next path I'd go to, some sort of education, because I really like teachers and passing down knowledge.
Mr. Ganesh.
Yeah, doctor.
Professor.
Yeah, I mean you can become a
Professor Ganesh.
But yeah.
Will, Brian, Kellyanne.
I was following the orders. I was waiting for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought about it, and I probably would do like math or physics. I mean, it's not like the same. The reason I did engineering is because I like math and physics, but I wanted to be able to like do something like impactful.
Wow.
And like
That's tough.
And besides, like, if you're like super smart and you can be like a research scientist, which I didn't think I could do. It's just like the odds aren't great. So that's why I didn't do those fields. But if like engineering wasn't an option, then that's probably what I would have done. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it more or less. The grass is always greener on the other side.
In a parallel universe, yeah.
I tried to think about like what I was torn between when deciding for majors, and I know that there were several, and I ended up like going with engineering, obviously, but I also toyed with the idea of political science because I was super into politics for like 4 years.
Well, that's a good one. I didn't even think of that. I've always wanted to be a politician too.
So
Really?
I wouldn't want to be a politician. I'd want to be like an analyst or something. But I really, really like thought I would want to do it. But now politics are so depressing that I'm glad I didn't do that. I also liked writing, and I considered journalism, like maybe doing poli-sci journalism. But then I was like, I don't want to write essays for all of undergrad.
Yeah.
Here I
never
am.
could see Will wanting to be a politician, but
Yeah.
you learn something new every day.
No, like, I mean, like, I
Complication.
couldn't be a politician in like actual like life, but like the idea of a politician, like,
I mean,
That's
you can
theoretical
technically still be a politician.
concept.
You don't
no, I
have to.
could,
Yeah,
but
like you can run for
I
mayor
don't like
right
the
now.
way that politics actually works.
I'd vote for you.
Yeah.
Fair.
But it's good to know that I'd have Brian's vote if I ran.
You have my vote too, Will. You have
to earn my vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear your policies first.
Yeah, what are your stances?
Right now, what?
Yeah, no. What about you,
I
Brad?
don't even know what I'm running for.
I don't know. Like I feel like I could go a lot of different ways.
Man of many talents.
I don't know. Like
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
like
flex on us. Oh, chess.
Yo,
yeah, become a professional chess player.
I'm Coach Jonathan, dude.
I think it'd be cool to. I considered going into design, like architecture or design, something like that, or maybe something artistic with, I don't know, something like that. But I never did, and here I am. So, but I mean, I always like the idea of like, especially with like architecture or maybe some kind of user design, something like mixing engineering with some kind of art. But yeah, didn't end up that way for me.
You could still do that too.
Yeah.
I could
Drop
yeah,
out of
you're right.
engineering.
That's
and
the good
become
thing
an
about
architect.
The degree is
Follow your
that
dreams.
it's proven you can do a lot of shit.
Exactly. I still don't know what I want to do. Like I might follow Girish too and just become a teacher. Who knows? Like
Oh, just become a teacher? Slam.
Dude,
no,
honestly,
I actually
we
hold
like
teachers to be
teachers,
high
not an
esteem, but
anti.
I only say it that way because the rest of the world doesn't, or at
I was
least
kidding.
honestly, if PhDs
America.
didn't take so long, I would be like very convinced to become a professor at some point.
if hard things weren't hard, I would do them.
That's true. You have to earn it.
Sujay, did you answer?
No, I didn't. So for me, this is probably not something that I would have thought in like high school, but like I don't know if I've even told you guys what it's like, but like I've always really wanted to like write my own TV show. Like that's just something interesting like that I wanted to do, and like I don't think I could like at this point just like stop education and like do it, because like it's not like something else where like if you're not good at your job, like it's fine, like someone will hire you. Like you have to be like an actually good writer to like make it anywhere, and that's like what's stressful about I guess arts jobs. But yeah, it's something I wanted to do. So maybe I have ideas for TV shows. So if down the
Sitcoms.
line I write a TV
Wait,
show,
what's an
like,
idea?
yeah.
Wait,
I don't
That's
know.
top secret.
proprietary.
That's top secret.
Don't
That's
share.
top
Yeah.
secret. Yeah. yeah.
What?
I'll
Give me
tell
your
you the
worst
idea
idea.
afterwards.
Give me your
My
worst idea. Yeah.
This podcast. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Tough.
It was
Five
set up, and
friends
there
get
was
together
there was
and do a podcast.
there was no
Like,
silence. There was silence for a while. I was like,
I had the idea of like a group of college students just like doing stuff based on like loosely based on our lives, but like I don't think that's interesting enough at this
this
point.
was your worst. Wow, thanks. This is your
That was
worst.
our
our
worst
lives are
idea.
your worst ideas.
Five
Yeah.
boring ass engineers going to college.
I mean, this movie is about 3 boring ass engineers, so
They're not
I
boring. They
guess it
got-
could be
Not
done. It could be
boring.
done. But yeah, that's mine.
Will you tell me your best idea after the podcast is
Yeah,
over?
I'll tell you after. And if you see it in TV one day, you'll know that I had the idea all the way back now.
I'm
When
gonna
the
start
characters is
using
Next
based
to
off
it.
of me, then I am gonna expect some royalties.
Oh yeah,
It was not going to be based off you guys.
I want to
If
be.
that
I
was
want to be
nice.
played by Scarlett Johansson
really
or
when,
Vanessa
like,
Hudgens.
10 years down the road, if I make this, you still want to be played by Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, or Vanessa Hudgens, or
She's old
whoever.
too.
Really stunning.
It's Zendaya, you know.
Yeah, what's this one?
that goes 5 layers deep right there.
Nelson Mandela, you say.
Neil deGrasse Tyson's a good one.
Magnus Carlsen or whatever.
Carl Magnuson.
You mean Eric Rosen?
Oh,
Oh, dude.
You could definitely play Will, I think.
Eric Rosen. Yeah.
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 Hey, let's get to the actual
Anyway,
podcast.
we're pretty
'cause
far off
we
topic
said
now.
it.
Yeah, this is overrated. I don't know if I'll add the theme song here actually because this is a video.
'Cause we
For
got copyrights.
fans listening at home, once I was adding all these videos to YouTube, I discovered that our theme song is actually used by some like, I don't want to say he's not like a mediocre rapper, but he's like a super low key rapper. Like I looked at the video that we got copyrighted for, and it only has like 100 views. Like our podcast has more views than that. Like
It's tough.
so, yeah, we have
Should have
copyright
copyrighted
on
it
that.
first. Why aren't they
Yeah,
copyrighted?
wait, we should be absolving him. What is it? Are we setting
But
our best
yeah,
lawyers
if you're
at him?
listening and if you're into music and you want to make a theme song for us, we could use it next season. But yeah,
Just hum it in your head for now in this little break.
yeah. Anyway, we can get into the episode now. Start with our first category. Where were you? So, I we watched this movie like right when it came out. So like the way I guess Indian movies work, like watching them here is like I don't watch them in the theaters and my parents don't either. Like they wait until it comes on a DVD and then that like I don't know if this works now. Like obviously with streaming stuff has changed, but like back in the day, like you have a DVD and then they pick it up at your local Indian store, and that's how it works. Like that's how you got Indian movies back then. So when I was like 10 years old, like I watched this for the first time, and I've definitely seen it like at least 10 times since then. Like it's a really good movie, and I remember at that time we had the DVD from the Indian store, and then we recorded it on another DVD. So we basically made a pirated version of whatever pirated DVD that came from.
Yeah,
And that's just the next level. That's the next level mentality you gotta have.
I was gonna say a lot of like I don't think that because all the Indian store movies you buy, it's always like a 50-50 because you don't know till you get home and you put it in, and there might be just like it's straight a camera like a camcorder recording in the theater, or it's good. So you gotta hope. But for me, I actually watched this in theaters. I think this is the first Indian movie I saw in a theater. But for my mom's birthday every year, we go. It's on December 27th. We go to the movie theater and we watch like one Indian movie in theaters like the whole year because like it's not really worth to go there. But I think we went. It was 2008 or 9. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But I like it was the year it came out, and it was like a full house, and it was a very good experience because it was a full theater and big movie. A very large contrast to where I usually watch my movies on my phone. So good experience. Yeah, I've also seen it quite a few times since then.
Yeah, the first time I watched it was like 2 years ago in Sujay Gersh's room.
In the dorm.
Freshman year in Bagwell, yeah. And in the 2 years since, I've watched it 2 more times, so it's a pretty good movie, in my opinion.
Shout out to the first time we watched it. It was so long, so we split it into an intermission. We split it over 2 days.
Did we? I can't remember.
We split over 2 days. I think we stopped at the intermission and then.
How could you stop at the intermission, bro?
That's what you're supposed to do.
It's logical stopping point. So
Yeah,
that's what
cliffhanger.
happened.
First time I watched it was like 6 months ago with all these fuckers. Everyone's sitting here right now because they were all like, "Oh, you've never seen a Bollywood movie?" And I said no, and they were like, "Oh." So then I watched
the best
it,
one.
and I liked it. And then we watched another Bollywood movie like 3 months ago.
And it was terrible.
It was awful.
It's good.
No, it was good. I liked it. I liked it.
That's not actually the name.
Not even
It's
the
like
name of the
Blind
movie,
Melody
so
or
yeah.
something.
But it's about a blind. I liked it. First time I watched this movie, I was actually by myself. This was almost a year ago in the summer when I was in Baltimore, and I was bored and lonely as fuck. So I was like, you know what? And I was like, I'm gonna watch this Bollywood movie. And I had work the next day too, like really early. And so I was like, I'm just gonna watch half the movie, stop at the intermission, like what you guys did, just up into 2 days. But then it was surprisingly good. And so I like stayed up till like 2 a.m. watching it and got like 5 hours.
It's a good movie.
Woke up the next day really tired and then went to my internship. But yeah, there was that. And then I went to the one Indian person there and I was like, yo, have you seen the
As you do.
Yeah. And I was like, I
No.
just watched this movie. It's so good. Just like, yeah, isn't it so good? I was like, yeah.
Just like no.
Yeah.
I was born in
So-
Detroit, dude.
Yeah.
The brown malarkey is that?
Yeah, that was, and then since then I've watched it just once more, and that was when we were all exposing Kellyanne to the greatness that is.
Exposing Kelly, yeah.
All right. Moving on then. to our next category, Score It. So personal scoring first. Another banger of a movie. I haven't seen probably as many Bollywood movies as Girish has, but I think you can ask like any Indian person, they'll tell you this is their favorite Bollywood movie. I'm gonna go probably high. I'm gonna say 95 because I said Dark Knight was also 95, and I think this is like same level but different type.
Yeah. Going off what Sujay said, this is definitely the best Indian movie. I've seen a lot of them. My parents watch a lot. We watch a movie like every night usually when I'm home for summer, and now for quarantine. But we ran out of movies. But like you have to understand the quality of production. Yeah, but you have to understand the quality of production because a lot of Indian movies are like rom-com musicals, and like this is technically there is some musical aspect to it, and it's like also kind of a rom-com, but it's like actually does something different. It's like just so much better when you look at a lot of other Bollywood movies that have been made. So yeah, probably just like a 95 also, but this is definitely the best Indian movie that I've seen, and I've seen a lot. So.
Yeah, I guess it's like how relatable I find it, like because it's the story is just like about people like us, and like.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I like really enjoy this movie so much. But like I said, I've seen it 3 times in 2 years, and I don't even think I've watched another movie more than one time, like any other movie. I've seen this one 3 times in 2 years. So I'd probably give this movie like I want to say like a 97.
Ooh, A+ territory. That might be the first time anyone has rated a movie A+.
I mean, I challenge it. Like I cannot see another movie relating to like my life so personally for the rest of my life. Like this movie, like
until Sujay writes his about
about my life, yeah.
Literally about your life.
But there's just something to be said about that. I mean, like maybe we're not the best people to give an unbiased opinion on this movie, but
no, it's personal score. It's supposed to be biased.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I went into it not knowing a single thing about it, so I didn't know it was about engineers and just, their experience in college, and so I was like surprised at how relevant it was. So I was pleasantly surprised, which is why I guess I probably liked it a lot too. I give it like an 89 because it wasn't flawless, but it was really good, and I consider that a good grade.
Would not want you as a teacher. Imagine you get to 89. Like I consider that a great grade.
Yeah, you're the teacher that's like if you do everything right, you get a B, and you have to earn the
you're
A
like the teacher.
More than I ask.
You're the teacher from the mechanical lab when he gave like that big notebook. And it's like this student did everything perfectly. It's like 90.
I give it a 94. It's a good movie. Not much to say about it.
You guys have not seen this movie. I think this all speaks. You should go watch it. It's on Netflix now. So,
especially even if you're in college, like regardless of what your major is,
yeah,
it's perfect.
Perfect.
I don't know. I think it's just
like,
good storytelling
for that audience.
Yeah.
Like,
if you haven't been able to tell by all of the spectacular grades of it.
Yeah, so this is definitely the highest movie rating wise, like all around that we've probably given movies. So it's a good way to end our first season. We'll go into our Rotten Tomatoes guessing. OG fans of Overrated will know in the first episode I actually said what the Rotten Tomatoes score for this was. You guys remember?
I'm not an OG fan, I guess.
You're not an OG fan?
Wait,
then?
You do remember, Will?
No.
We're not OG
right,
fans.
I guess you guys can guess. I know what it is because I remember.
I'll guess 100 because I feel like we did discuss hundreds at some point.
No. Only special movies get reserved for that.
Like
100.
Paddington. No, we had this, and I said Paddington 2 is also like we've had this conversation on the podcast. So that's why I remember saying.
I don't know.
Okay, what? 198. Will? I'll go 97.
Well, I guess Girish the OG fan because you remember that it was 100%.
I remember the conversation too.
Yeah. Audience was not that high though, so you guys can guess that. I guessed
really?
98. Yeah.
Well, spoilers, not that high.
It's not that high, so I'll say 95.
Well, it's not higher than 100.
I'll go 92.
93.
Say 93. 94.
Kellyanne with a shot, 93% for
God
audience
damn it.
score. Yeah,
It's the
it's
first
a bit
one.
lower, but I guess it was weighed down by people like Kellyanne.
I mean, again, like I feel like if some like
Whoa.
it's literally if
T.
like if some Indian dad watched this movie, you know, I feel like they'd hate
He'd
it.
be like, he would
My
relate
dad
to
loved
like
it.
the wrong people.
Yeah, he'd
My
be
dad
like,
actually
"This is
liked it.
completely
He's like, what are
wrong."
you
Like,
doing?
They're
Wasting your
not
time.
working
Like,
hard enough.
yeah.
It's like he's got a point, you know. It's like photography. Like
I like
mean,
this
he's
virus
got...
guy.
He's kind of got a point. Yeah. So this movie didn't win any Oscars. That's kind of typical of Indian movies. I looked it up just because I was curious how many like Bollywood movies have gone to Oscars. I don't think any Bollywood movie has won an Oscar, and only 3 have actually been nominated. 2 of them are really old. You might be able to guess one of them. It was pretty
This
recent.
is Slumdog Millionaire.
No, I don't think
Lagan.
that's a Bollywood movie either. Lagan. It was Lagan.
What the?
Yeah.
Why?
thanks.
Our
Are you
resident
doing-
That's like
Bollywood
the
expert,
only other
Brian
movie you
Wu.
know too.
Yeah. Native.
Have
Hindi
you seen it
speaker
yet? Because we've been saying we should watch it.
No.
Next movie.
Yeah, it's good. That's good too. But it didn't win either. So I guess Bollywood just doesn't perform well at the Oscars. This movie
What were
did
the
win
other
like a lot of
two?
film awards. I don't even know. They're like really old. Like I
probably.
never heard of them before, and I don't
But maybe
remember off the top
now
of my
that
head now.
Parasite won Best Picture, there might be a shift in.
Yeah, because I was reading
attitude.
articles about like since like this one, why since like Bollywood has like made a lot of movies. And I think one of the main reasons is that like Bollywood is like the genre is very like consistent. Like it's easy like to make a Bollywood movie because like the plot is just so consistent from movie to movie.
Yeah.
There's like a hero, there's a villain, like songs, like it's nothing really
It's
special.
literally a rom-com musical, like the whole way through. Like you
This
can predict what's
this
gonna
movie
happen.
should have been like the breakout from that, but and
Yeah.
it did win many film awards in India and like in Bollywood movie categories in like Europe and stuff, but no Oscars. All right, we'll move on then to our next category, favorite scenes and quotes. No clips in this one. One, because we're videotaping this, so I can't put in clips without getting copyrighted. And 2, this is in Hindi, so you may not be able to get the full experience from that. I'm gonna let you guys go first. I did like kind of a similar thing that I did with Dark Knight, which is I didn't watch the whole movie, but I kind of like just skipped through it and like looked at my favorite scenes. And this time I ended with 11
God.
scenes.
Dang.
Oh,
To be fair,
The-
it's a long movie.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
true.
It is. But like I'll let you guys fill in first, and then I'll just say whatever
Alright.
you guys didn't say.
To avoid making 11 scenes, I have 2 main scenes. And so the first one is the whole speech, the one where he changes the speech. And he
Story
just
speech, yeah.
that's just a funny scene. Like
Also
fun.
because I'm not putting in clips, like actually describe which scene you're talking about.
Okay, so if you don't remember, it's the one where he changes his speech because Chatur does not speak Hindi as well. So he changes it because the librarian's typing it up. So he changes it and he just memorizes it. And he changes the word served to like screwed. So he just says like in front of everyone when he gives a speech how the dean is just like screwing everyone. And it's just pretty funny.
Is
But
it screwed
that's-
or like fucked?
It's the
I'm
same thing.
looking it up right now. It's actually raped, so
Oh.
it's a bit further than
The
I watched
translation.
this.
the translation that we watched.
But
It said screwed when we watched in translation, but
yeah. But yeah, so honestly, like it's not like an impactful scene. I guess it is impactful because it shows like the dangers of blind memorization, but it's just like the funniest scene and it's like probably the funniest scene in the movie. Like you can't not mention it. And
yeah,
then
that was one of my 11 too.
yeah,
So I said it you get to see kind of like how Rancho is not like always a pure guy. He's kind of mean, honestly. Like that was pretty mean. Like I don't think
yeah,
He was
I
proving
I
his
would
guess.
do
point.
that to a person.
Hey,
I don't think I would do that to a person.
You have to get my boy Raju to move back.
Yeah, but like you basically dicked over this guy just because you didn't like, agree with his way of like learning.
It's just a
But also
prank, bro.
It sets up why Chittoor is like reuniting everyone in the present day.
Yeah.
So it's actually a way bigger point than I guess
It also
like the scene
leads
merits.
It also leads to the quote that's kind of like the point of the movie when Rancho's like, don't follow success. It's like follow knowledge or something, and then success will follow you or something along those lines. I can't remember, but
You can
like
tell how much
that's kind
Girish
of
loves it.
Yeah, chill, man. But that's kind of like the whole motto for the entire movie, other than all is well. So I guess that's a that's a main. And then I was gonna say the second scene is the one where they deliver the baby in the college.
I do not like that one.
I liked it. Oh, you did
Stresses
not
me
No,
like
out.
you
it?
don't like it.
It's I
Ooh,
thought.
she'll,
I mean,
she'll,
it's
she'll
a
bring that up in
little.
overrated. She'll bring that
It's
up
a
in
little
overrated. It's fine.
exaggerated because it's very like it's obviously very dramatized. Like
It's a little.
it's very okay. It's pretty exaggerated, but I thought it was a good scene because it's like for the first time, at least for us, like a lot of stuff we learn is theory, and then we build it later. So it was really cool to see like they learned all this stuff, and then they're finally able to put it to practical use and like deliver a baby, which is if I
Yeah,
couldn't
I actually
describe
had
the
that for the
scene,
same
it's
reasons
just,
because it like shows like the engineers like doing practical stuff and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's a lot more like meaningful, I guess, from like Rancho's point of view because like he's actually like putting all
About
of
to
his
leave.
knowledge to use and yeah, like
it's even more impactful because he doesn't even technically have to because all three of them got rusticated like that night and like they have no obligation
yeah.
anymore.
You are rusticated.
So they have no obligation to do any of this, but they're doing it because they're good people and they're friends of that.
Yeah, I also said it was the
girl.
end of like Virus's like character arc because like at the end
Yeah.
he's like saying his grandson that he's like it's okay if you're not an engineer.
Yeah,
So
and he gives him the pen, which is also a very
yeah. Oh yeah,
impactful
yeah. I
scene.
forgot that too.
That's a big scene.
Yeah.
Big scene. If I didn't describe
Cool.
the scenes, it's pretty self-explanatory. They deliver a baby in a college room, and then he gives him his famous pens. There it is. That's it, though. Yeah, I wanted to narrow it down only two. I don't want to talk all day.
I'll just add a couple more.
Do it.
But I like not to be like dark or anything, but my favorite scenes of the movies were like both like the suicide and the attempted suicide scene.
Oh my god!
Like just because of how impactful they are,
yeah,
like
good scenes.
Yeah.
especially
I didn't say yeah, go ahead.
like the first one where I can't remember the character's name. But
Joy Lobo.
Jay.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Joy. Yeah.
Joy,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was Jay. Yeah.
Like up until then, the movie didn't really have like you weren't sure like what the
The
like
tone.
yeah, I guess like it was upbeat and like you weren't sure what the like
Message
where the story
from-
was going, like what the problem
Yeah.
was going to be, and then it just hits you like that. And you're, I don't know, and it was just so powerful. And then like when Raju jumps out the window, and you can like that whole scene with the music,
That
and
scene was very well done.
and
yeah.
like and Virus is like getting shaved, and like he just doesn't care, and
Yeah.
you can see like in Raju's face, you can see like all this how in pain he is, and like it's just like I just really like that scene. I think they
It's a
captured
very-
it so well.
It's a very artistic
he
scene
definitely-
because the music and then the lamp. You don't even see him jump; like you just see the lamp fall out the window.
Yeah.
It's like very well done.
Yeah. So like as far as impact goes, and like those are the scenes that I carry with me, like from the movie. But other than that, the scene where he is in the classroom and the professor asks for the like definition of I can't remember what he asked for the
A simple
definition of,
machine.
like,
What
or
is
something.
machine?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's a machine?
Yeah. I don't know, just any of those little scenes where he's like where the like some other student, in that case it was the what's his name?
Chateau.
Chator. Yeah,
Silent
he was
Sir.
like giving the textbook definition, and then Rancho was like, I mean, how like giving like
How you
a
gonna use
realistic
that?
definition,
Yeah.
just like every time Rancho was like genuine. I don't know.
Yeah, I said that
And
was a
gave
great like
advice.
introduction to Rancho, and like it shows like he cares more about like understanding material and just like applying memorizing.
Yeah.
And it's also really good introduction to like how I guess like Indian culture is in like school and stuff like that, especially for people who aren't like in India and stuff like that. So I feel like that was good introduction to that concept.
Yeah. I'll just leave it there.
I liked some of like the fun scenes. Like I liked when they snuck into that wedding, and when they like spilled the mint sauce or whatever on
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ia's outfit, or her husband or fiance or boyfriend's.
Fiance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to prove a
Suhas.
point, like I thought it was
yeah.
funny. And then the other one that I remember well and liking was when they were sneaking back into the school to find the answers to the test or whatever it was.
Mhm.
It was like
So many good scenes.
suspenseful and
It was suspenseful.
fun
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a good movie. I mean,
And
lots of
he calls home, and then like it says, and his dad picks up, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they return it because the real value is not cheating. You're only cheating yourself.
There you go.
It's
Most
good
unrealistic part of the movie.
stuff. They just like take a picture of that baby and put it.
Yeah, I mean, I really only had one scene, and Will already covered it, which was Joy's initial suicide scene. And I won't go too much into detail because Will pretty much covered it. It just, it's all like a happy movie and whatnot, and sort of like a musical, and everyone's sort of singing. And then there's the guy. It suddenly like pans to see a guy like hanging from a rope, and I don't know, he wrote like, "I can't do this anymore," something on the wall, and you're
He's
like,
like,
"I
"I quit."
quit." Yeah, I quit. Like suddenly, like the whole mood changes, and it just, you suddenly realize this movie is not what it. It's almost like a plot twist, in a way, but not a plot twist, but a mood twist. I don't know, but that was my favorite scene
A
by
tone
far.
shift.
Tone shift. I like
I'll
that.
say that I didn't have that scene in particular because I don't like the suicide, but it's definitely very impactful. My favorite scene was like the All Is Well song, and I just realized that this comes right at the end of that song. Like you have like this huge happy song, and they're all talking about like how they're like carefree and stuff like that, and then there's just kids who right at the end, and then like it's really like a turning point in the movie. Like you kind of like see like what this movie is actually about. So that is a very impactful moment. Is that everyone's scenes?
Yeah.
Can I get into my 11?
11.
All right. You guys actually covered like 4 or 5 of mine. So I started with introducing Virus and the pen scene. Like when you see like when they introducing Virus and they're talking about like how he's a really competitive guy. I think that was just kind of like showing him in like a comical way, and like it was kind of funny. And then when he's like talking about the pen and like what it means, and then like Rancho like he asks him like why didn't they use a pencil in space. And so I think that introduces Rancho as someone who like asks questions and he doesn't really follow the status quo. I read this in trivia later, but like when he asks like who wants this pen, everyone raises their hand except for Rancho, and then he raises his
I
hand
think
later.
they make that a point though, because everyone raises their hand, and except him is like, you can put your hand down now, and you see everyone putting their hand down, but he's just raising his hand. So like,
Yeah.
I think you're supposed to. I think that's a implied thing.
Yeah, and then cover the machine one, covered All Is Well. Rancho. I also have Rancho teaching the class for the first time. Like when like Virus takes him in, he's like, "Here, you teach the class. Like, what are you supposed to do?" And then he writes their names on the board. I thought that was kind of showing his philosophy a little further, and there was just a nice joke in there too. Did you guys catch the name thing when he first did it?
I caught it the first time. I thought it was really obvious, and then like I asked you guys if you caught it, because I was like, I clearly saw him wait Raju and Farhan.
That is smart. Yeah, I just don't. I didn't see it that way.
I think it also like I don't like look at like Hindi names like that on a like
yeah.
I think that might be
pattern
part of it.
recognition isn't there for us,
Like if he had written like
if he written pre-Willization and Brian
like
Parsons
John Josephson or something, I would have seen it obviously.
I'll be honest, like when I was 10 and I watched this for the first time, I don't even think I knew their names at that point in the movie. So I was just like, oh, cool. But yeah. I had the crashing the wedding scene as well. This is the first time they like introduced Pia, and that was a really nice way to show how Rancho's like quick on his feet. And he actually ends up making that device that he talks about in the wedding. So I think that was pretty cool. They also introduced Suhas, which is honestly just a funny character. And then like they show like he represents like a lot of things that Rancho also hates about, like I guess like corporations
Society.
and stuff like that. Like yeah, I don't know, because it's not about learning at that point. It's about like what you do with it. Silence your speech. I said after Raju jumps, when he's in the hospital, that whole sequence, I think that was just a touching moment.
That's a good song, honestly. That's an underrated song.
Yeah, and they had that song in the background too.
Yeah.
You can use this moment and talk about what our favorite songs were. So there's only like 5 songs in the movie, which is pretty low for an Indian movie. You guys want to say what your favorite was?
Honestly, I can. Oh, Brad left. Oh,
Oh,
He got
well.
scared just when we
He'll
told
join
him.
back
He's been
in.
hyping up.
Yeah,
the
he was
viewers,
saying he
Brad
knows
is
how to
hyping
pronounce
Last
up.
the
minute
names.
practicing.
Brad has been hyping up
pronunciation.
this whole time how he knows how to pronounce the song, and I was gonna fact check him, and he just left before. But anyways, like I'll say mine. Honestly, I liked all of them except I'll say the ones I didn't enjoy because okay, I actually did not enjoy the Zooby Dooby song.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, I was going to
It's
say
the
that's a very
catchiest.
popular. It's a
Yeah,
catchy
it's the
song.
only
It's
one I
very
remember.
popular. But like, I mean, like, it's kind of annoying. Maybe I've just heard it a lot. But I mean, I've heard all these songs a lot. But I just don't like it as much. I really like All Is Well, Joy's song, the one in the hospital. I think the beginning song is okay. It's pretty good, but it's not the best. But it's a very good introductory song. But main point is I surprisingly did not like Zooby Dooby, even though I know that's like one of the most popular.
If you had to
songs
choose a
in the
favorite of
movie.
the rest, what are they? What would
Probably
it
the
be?
hospital one. The
10 and
hospital
8.
one.
Yeah.
It's very touching, and All Is Well is like not overplayed, but it's the popular one. Everyone like.
Yeah,
everyone
I'll say
likes that song. It's a
All Is
bop.
Well
It's
is
a bop.
All Is Well is probably my favorite. Like, it's not like the best like musical wise. Like, if I were to like listen to them just like on my
Yeah.
own, it would definitely be Janahi or
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Musical wise, it's very well done.
I'd say
But I think
All's
just like a whole scene is nice. Yeah. Go
I'd
for
say
it.
All Is Well is also my favorite. For one, it's the one that I remember the best. Like even the scenes that like they go like the bathroom and they're like
The shower,
showering
yeah.
themselves. It's just weird. Also, the message is something to remember. You know, just
Mhm.
like the whole thing was like the guy in the village who like said all is well, even though he's like blind or
Yeah.
whatever. The whole
Yeah.
story was cool.
It's a good theme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
Kelly
man, he's
and you
back.
said cheers, right?
Here's a Zooby Dooby.
Yeah. All right, Brian.
Nice.
You've
All
been
right,
hyping
Brian,
up
your time has come. What is your favorite song?
Oh, are we doing this part now? All right.
Yeah.
You're the last one to go.
Wait. Okay.
Pressure's
My
on.
favorite song, and
What I learned in boating school is
I'm gonna practice my Hindi. I'm sorry if I offend any. I probably will. I'm just gonna apologize now because I will
As long as
offend.
you don't say Balatkar, we're good.
Let me just listen to the Google Translate.
I'm gonna tell you right now the Google Translate's problem. Why do you have
All right,
earbuds in but you're holding the phone? Okay.
because it's not connected to my phone. Okay,
Oh,
my
okay,
favorite
okay.
song was "Beti Havasatawa."
That was not bad until the end.
Oh, okay. Beti
you said it.
Havasatawa.
You said it in like
It
tones.
sounds like the Google Translate voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beheti
It's
Sawata.
beheti, so well actually I forgot what the word is, but the last word is
Beti
towel. Not
Havasatawa.
there's no like you don't pronounce the W, it's towel.
So, Beti
Uh,
Havasatawa.
That's
Towel.
close enough, honestly.
No, that's better
You
than I
could
got,
understand
honestly.
if someone heard you, they could probably understand. Like,
Beti
something.
Havasatawa.
That's good. That one was good. All right.
All right,
Jump
cool.
That's all I'm gonna
Beheti
say.
Sawata.
What did you say?
Beti Satasawu.
Wait, what did everybody else say? I missed it.
Oh.
Me and Will
Do
said
you guys
all
even
as
know what
well.
song that is? Like, I just
It's
said.
the beginning. It's
Yeah,
the
it's the
beginning,
beginning
one,
song.
yeah.
Okay.
It's like the background music
for
most of the
people
movie.
Who, yeah, if you don't.
Girish
understand
said the
Hindi.
hospital song, and then I said Zooby Dooby.
I thought you were gonna say that one. Well, what did you say?
Whoa.
CJ and I said all as well.
Excuse me?
Can we talk about the gender stereotypes that
It was about
I
love,
remember.
you
No, I
know?
remember.
I'm the
when-
only woman here, huh?
Yeah.
What it
the one
is.
with the woman, yeah, of course.
No, I remember when we were watching that. You like were really into that, like
Yeah,
that
I was.
specific song.
Oh.
They're so
I was so
catchy.
confused because I hate that
It's
song.
ironic because
That's what I
it's the
said. I said I
song
don't like
about
the
how
song.
like it's a song about how like love songs are just
Stupid,
like
yeah.
yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
whole
it's
song
I don't
is
know.
a shit on how love
cheeky
songs
and
are
ironic.
stupid.
I don't know if this is in
Yeah.
the trivia. Did you have a trivia question about that song, CJ? Because
No.
Trivia
'cause
question?
you told us. I think
trivia
I think
one,
you're
yeah.
the one who told me this, but like you said, like none of the songs in that movie were like productions, but like they spent like more money on Zooby Dooby song than like all the other songs. Like
I might have said that.
someone told me
I
that.
think Girish
I
said
don't remember that,
yeah.
but yeah.
But
that's
yeah, it is
interesting.
like you can tell though. Like,
Yeah, like it's
That's
all the
not
other
a-
songs
that's-
like would fit within the movie. Then that
Yeah.
one immediately like the whole
it's-
scene changes
that's
and
the-
like
Yeah.
that's the
it's
whole
a different
you
production.
get like 3 different
It's
scenes
comical.
in it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's comical
It's a
how
bop,
like
it's a bop for sure.
extravagant it is. Yeah, it's supposed to talk about how in love songs like it doesn't just happen like that. It's like kind of funny.
But then they went to that length to show how it doesn't happen.
Yeah. So it's a high
Um,
IQ joke, you know.
Where were we? We're in my scenes. I'm surprised nobody mentioned this one, but learning who the real Rancho is in that whole sequence. That was
when you're wrapping through the scenes in your brain, like that's all the way to the end, you know.
That's why I went through the whole movie, because like I knew I was gonna forget so many things. That was actually in the middle of the movie. That was an intermission, but
that's the end. That's where they.
What a fucking reveal though that was. Like I definitely like was super into it that entire sequence because I had no idea what was happening at that point. It also shows that Rancho is like he wants to go to college for the sake of learning, not for a degree, which is what everyone else went for. So I think that was really cool. I had the end of Farhan and Raju's character arcs, which is like the side-by-side like scenes where they're like, he's like standing up to his dad and he's doing the job interview. I know there's some overrated stuff about Raju's, at least I'll get into later, but I liked how it was kind of showing like the culmination of Rancho's teachings on both of them, and it was kind of the end of their arcs. So I think that was really good. I also had, besides the baby scene at the end, I had saving Pia from the wedding, like in the present day. That was honestly just a funny sequence of like events, like nothing deep about it, just funny. But yeah, those are all of my scenes. Did anyone think of any more that they'd like to?
I was thinking when you said when we find out who Raju was, or Rancho. I was thinking, I know what scene you're talking about now, but I was thinking at the very end of the movie when we find out who like
who he like his
no, I was talking about the real
Ranchardo or whatever. But like when we find out who the character Rancho actually is at the very end.
Yeah, I like that
scientist.
scene too. At the end.
Yeah.
With all the children, and he is really.
And he's doing Garish's dream. He's teaching. Garish's Rancho.
He's an engineer.
All right. We'll keep it going then. Zuko Award, which character has the best development? I'm curious what you guys had. There's a lot of options on this one. I think the main three are the strongest cases, but I'll let you guys go first. Just first, who did you choose?
I was gonna say Raju because I think he has. Well, I'll explain that. Yeah, you said. Will.
I mean, I guess I'll go Rancho.
Rancho.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Raju as well.
Just to clarify, Raju's the skinny one and Farhan's the fatter one, right?
Yeah.
He's not fat. He's just
fatter.
Okay.
Imagine like saying that to his face, like I said fatter, okay? Chill out. You're just fatter than him.
Yeah, the acting for him is actually like shredded now. I think.
Yeah, now he's skinny. But yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess. I just want to say a character that I like, which is Farhan's dad. I think I
okay. You're the Indian dads who watch this movie and they're like, no, Farhan's dad.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like, who wants to do photography? Am I right?
What was your serious answer?
Well, no. Like that's my answer.
That's your answer. Okay.
No, he develops. Yeah,
no, I can see as a kid. What's your
I was being 100% serious there. Like.
Yeah. Okay, right. Brian. But like,
you guys were laughing at me, so I just started laughing. So I was
like, haha, yeah.
Okay, mine was Farhan, so
really,
a little bit.
Yeah.
I
said Virus.
Yeah, I was gonna say Virus was my second.
Yeah, he was.
All the characters are well. I mean, it's a 3-hour movie. They take their time to develop.
Yeah, but they are really well developed. So you kind of can't.
Something I was gonna say for underrated, but like I'll say it here, is that every character has development and like has like a character arc that ends with closure. So like this is really rare in movies in general, but especially in Bollywood, because like in Bollywood it's usually just like the hero and the villain that get like developed at all, if anything. But in this one, they have like all the side characters. And even characters that we didn't name, like Pia, she learns how to stand up for herself and like stand up to her dad and follow her heart. Virus, he learns what it means to be a good teacher, and it's like
I think Virus is a main one.
Virus
is a big one for sure. Like I don't think he's
you and Kellyanne didn't both pick Raju. Maybe one of you could have picked Virus.
Yeah, I was
trying to get some diversity in here, you know.
Yeah.
No,
you laugh at me. You said Rancho. What the hell is this?
He's the only one. So, I also said like Millimeter. He gets to go to school. Even Silencer, who stays constant the entire way through the movie. At the end of the movie, he realizes that Rancho's right. So like even
that was like that doesn't like he just says that so he can get his deal though. Like he's like pretty much an asshole the whole
Yeah,
time.
but you see like the character
He
development.
realized he was
goes
wrong though.
to-
Yeah, he says he knows his
he
philosophy was wrong. Yeah,
But yeah,
should
we can get into our individual. I can go first, I guess.
Okay.
For Ron, I said the movie is kind of through his like point of view because he's the one narrating. So like right off the bat, like you get a little bit more insight into his thoughts and his motivations. And I think when watching him like realize that like engineering is not for him, and then like struggle to tell his dad and stuff like that was something that like I think everyone can like relate to, like telling your parents something that you know is going to disappoint them. And he's also like kind of like in the present day, like he has to be like a kind of a detective and figure out like all this stuff about Rancho that's about his friend that he never knew. And so just watching him like develop on that end too was just really cool to see. So that's why Fran's mine.
Okay, I was gonna say, so like the main reason I said Raju is because, like honestly, for me, I think the two characters, or not two, but like I think other like not Rancho, I think Farhan and Raju have like the most like defined struggles because like they're the ones going against their parents and stuff. Rancho's is like a little more in depth, but like that's kind of what I relate to. And I think Raju's is like the most extreme because like first off, he comes from like the poorest side of all of them. So like already from the start, there's a lot of pressure because like he has to pull his family out of poverty. And then second, the most relatable part is like he's smart because like this is like the top school. So like none of these guys are like dumb, even though like once you think, but like they got into this amazing school, but like they're just not like as smart, which I think is a main point, like that a lot of people think. Like when you go into college, like especially one like that, which is apparently like the top, like you suddenly just like have. I think it's supposed to be a spoof of that, but it's like it's not.
We
it's
searched
not
that
the
up
actual,
though.
It's
Yeah.
Imperial College. of
Actually,
Engineering, yeah.
trivia point, that's the old name of the IIT.
Oh, so yeah, it was supposed to be, but like this,
IIT, yeah.
it is the top
Indian
college, but, like,
Institute of Technology is the best
Yeah.
engineering college for all those curious.
Yeah, but like it's clearly like he's a smart guy, and like I think it's very overlooked that like a lot of people who are smart in high school, like when you get to college and like everyone's like you, and like it's easy to feel like you're just not good at engineering, and that's like what he goes through. Like he's very passionate about it, but like again, he's scared of like failing, which I think is a very relatable point. It's one of the most like relatable characters in the movie. And then like he just realizes that he has to just stop being scared, and like if he really loves engineering, like he should just learn. And then he even goes through like his lowest low, he like attempts suicide, and then he like sees how bad of a mistake it was because like he's like in a coma and he can see everyone's like sad and stuff. But I think he has the most relatable character because like he's an engineer, he wants to do engineering, and he goes to college, and like a lot of many people, he realizes that like he's just a regular guy, if not like below the average there, and it's easy to get disheartened.
It was the worst, right? They scored the lowest.
They were the bottom two both times.
They were the bottom two.
Consistently, but it like just goes to show like at the end he gets rid of this, and he's like, I just need to learn and not be scared of the results. And
wait, I just realized my recording went off when I was trying to reconnect. I'll start now. I'll just send. I don't know. Sujay, you'll
have an audio file. You'll have an audio
According
file.
to Girish, he has an audio file.
The video, so we can see.
I started the voice memo again, anyways.
It's fine, yeah.
Sorry,
but yeah,
yeah.
Anyways, Raju, best. I think most relatable character development, which is why I picked him.
Yeah, I just because I also picked him. The exact same reason is that he was really relatable, and it also, like you said, he had the most extreme shift from being like really anal about not feeling good enough, and then killing himself, and then like having to come back from that. And I think it was compelling that he had to come back from the lowest of all lows possible, and then still came back and kept fighting, and was more level-headed and well-rounded about it afterwards.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Because wasn't out of the three, it was Rancho, and then Farhan was like the guy who sort of always believed, but then
he was pretty steady.
Raju was the guy who like
had doubts.
They actually had to bring him back, right? Yeah, he had doubts. They had to actually come bring him back.
He
so,
was,
like,
he was scared
even within the main
time.
three, he was the one who had the least faith.
Yeah.
All right, Will, Rancho.
I mean, he's probably not the most relatable because like he shows up and he's like breathing
smart,
through all
he's
this
confident in himself,
classes.
He shows up, he knows what he's doing. He's not the most relatable.
Like when he shows up, I mean, like everyone knows someone like that, like, and the people, like, we know people like that in college, and like when he shows up in the movie, you're like, you think you know who the type of guy he is, but then as the movie progresses, you find out, like, first of all, you literally don't even know who he is because he's not who he says he is, and then like you find out like why, like he snuck into college because he wanted to learn, but he like wasn't able, like, like you figure out that it wasn't just like he wasn't just the son of like a rich parents who was able to go to college and is super smart, like he didn't live a simple life, and these things about his life just like get unveiled throughout the movie, and then the very end, I think, is like, it's like at the very end, it's like really the whole movie is building up after you've learned that he's not who he says he is. It's like the whole second half of the movie is like, who the fuck is this guy? Like,
Yeah.
And then it turns out he's like teaching kids at some random remote location, even though like he's also this like super high level scientist, like super rich guy. He's living in this like little house in the middle of nowhere teaching kids. It's like it's like every single part of the movie you learn something that like unexpected about him, and even at the very end, it's like something unexpected about him.
You learn his real name at the end of the movie.
It's just like, I don't know.
Boy Funsuk.
If the movie had scenes past this, I feel like you'd just keep learning random, like Rancho would just start doing random shit again. Like
it's like Rancho cured cancer in 2005.
He cured coronavirus.
Oh, please.
All right, I've been waiting for this. Brian, what's your reasoning behind Farhan's dad?
Well, okay, like you said, you can make an argument like he might not be the most developed, but he was a character that was developed, and
he's a dark horse.
I like his story, or like his I guess
he has a good point.
They took a perfectly good man and ruined him.
What are people gonna think about him?
No, because like, okay, through the story, like you definitely can see how stressed out Farhan was having to come to his dad, because he knows there's something like super serious there, and I think they explain indirectly through the movie, but like his dad literally sacrificed everything to get him to where he was at the school and to afford education and whatnot. And even though he may have never asked Farhan if that's what he wanted, the amount of sacrifice that he actually did put in there, like you can't just sort of brush that aside. Like in the end, he was a dad trying to provide the best for his kid. Whether he knew that's what his kid wanted or needed, that's another discussion. And then for him to like sort of come around and finally accept that fact, I think, like imagine you spend your whole life sacrificing for one thing, and then
your son wants to be a photographer.
No, and then like, well, it doesn't even have to be like a son or something. Like imagine you you give your whole entire life up just for this one thing to happen, and not for yourself, but like for someone else, and then they come and say they don't want, like it was all for nothing or something, and then like you got to feel a little bad for him, right? And it's just like the fact that he was able to turn around and overcome from that. I feel like that's like it's something that I think is overlooked, on his part. So
I might call it underrated.
Oh,
I get that.
Farhan's dad ability to be a good father, underrated.
He was probably the best parent out of any of their parents.
I mean, you don't really talk much about
because
the other
Rancho
ones.
doesn't really have parents, and
then Raju's parents are like very poor
and paralyzed.
They just throw shade at him the whole movie. Like they don't scold him.
That's very typical.
Yeah.
But yeah, fine. Okay, I rate that. It's fine. I see your viewpoint now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like he should get a little credit for turning a new leaf.
We'll keep
That's
it
a really
going.
good scene too, by the way.
I think actually that's probably my second favorite scene, when he actually like go.
And like Farhan is like building up to do this, and then his dad buys him a laptop.
Like
to top it off, his dad just bought him a laptop, and
he's
he
like,
still
"I've
has to
emptied
tell
my
him,
savings
like,
account for you, son."
Yeah.
Like, here you go.
Dude, wait, imagine that. Like, imagine what he did though. Like, imagine one of us are going for a job interview, and before we even go to the interview, your parents buy you a laptop because they're like, "We know you're gonna get this job." Like, forget he didn't want to be an engineer. What if he did and he just didn't get the job? Like, how awkward would that have been?
Yeah.
But
I don't
anyways,
know.
yeah, that's beside the point.
All right, we'll keep it going. We're like almost an hour, and we're only like halfway through the categories, so
Yeah, it's a good
this
movie.
this looking up to be our longest podcast. But we'll keep it going. Sequel or prequel? For well, other than the untold story of Ferran's dad, the spin-off
His
that Brian wants.
sacrifices.
Have I got some news for you guys? I was like researching like Three Idiots sequel, and apparently in 2018,
Idiots.
Rajkumar Hirani said, he's the director, he stated that a Three Idiots sequel is confirmed and is being scripted. So it was supposed to come out this year, but I assume that got pushed back with like Corona and everything. So look, you have that to look forward to now.
Yo,
I don't know what it's about.
We gotta
or,
go. We gotta go in theaters when it comes out.
Sure.
All of us. Yeah. Assuming I don't go with my parents, but I'll go again to watch it. I mean,
I don't know what it's about, but if I were to make a sequel,
Art students becoming engineers.
it's like that. I don't want to pay. It's like no son of mine is gonna be an engineer.
You come home from the painting interview, your dad
like,
bought you a nice easel, and
I want to
You come home with a Raspberry Pi.
It's like, what is this?
You've been coding for fun. I'd say the logical spin-off would be like Rancho from the time he graduates to how he becomes Flinsuk Wendy. Like that'd be an interesting movie, I think. Like Will said, like you just keep learning more about him because he's like the main character. I think you can't really make a sequel without him. So that's my idea.
You know he's the main character because he's played by Aamir Khan.
I will say for anyone who does not watch many Hindi movies or Indian movies, if you want to watch a good one, just look at any of the ones that he's made / stars in, because he is by far.
That's like all of them.
And most of the, and probably the best movies I've seen.
Yeah.
He's not one of the famous ones. Like he's not like any of the big ones who are like superstars and all that. But he's up there, and I think probably most of the top movies are by him. So it's a good way to get your foot in the door of Indian cinema. But as going to the sequel's point, I mean, I feel like they could probably on Rancho's stuff. They might be able to make a prequel because if you see, this is like interesting. It's like spin-off, but Virus says his son applied to be an engineer in the college, and he got rejected every time he applied, and then he eventually killed himself. Eventually killed himself and faked it as an accident. And I think that could be a good story, like ending.
But we already know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we know what happens.
But, I don't know. That could be good, but.
Kills himself at the end. I never saw it coming.
I don't think anything could top this though. Like they may be able to make a really good one, but I don't see it being topped by any sequel. Like it's just such a good movie. It's hard to remake the characters, but if they do surprise me, yeah, I don't think it could top it. It could be really good. I don't want to dismiss it before watching it.
Yeah, I say no sequel. I think the second one is going to be an attempt to make it really good, but just end up being a flop. It stands really good on its own, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing is like the stories of like the thing about this movie is like it tells like it's like real life, you know, like it's so relatable, but like I feel like the amount of stories that could spin off like Virus, and the thing is this movie did a really good job of like painting the picture of how those stories went. So like Rancho's childhood with like his parents, and then Virus with his son, and then like even like Ferran's dad. Like I would be interested to see how Ferran's dad grew up as a child, like with his dad, because like odds are, but again, like it's like I want to know how that stuff happened, but I don't want them to make a movie about it. I don't know, but like
you do a TV show series spin-off.
A TV series.
It's like
the life
I'll
and
write
times
it.
of
a 30-minute episode of and then a background of every
dad.
character.
It's like all of the relationships in the movie feel like relationships that you've seen in life before, like in one form or another. Like you can almost start to guess, like I've seen this before, I've seen that kind of parenting before, and then you can guess like probably how he was parented. And like Virus, I've seen a professor like that before. You could guess you can guess people's backstories because like this is real life, like
Wait,
this is how people act.
I don't call out anyone on the show.
Text me.
Text in the chat.
Wait.
Which professor?
Oh no! I don't know. But you know what I mean,
I thought I
right?
missed
Like,
something there.
Yeah, I did too. Like, you know what I mean, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
you don't
I
know what I
get
mean, but maybe
Yeah,
I
someone
know
knows
what
what I
you
mean.
Listener sure
I
as
think
hell
I have
don't.
Listen in the
it.
comments, we
I
know
have
what Will means.
I have an idea.
If you figured it out.
Narrow it down. The NCSU professors, take your guess.
All right. Yeah, I said I really like how this movie, like, one of the reasons not for have a sequel or prequel is that it really shows like the two timelines. It's really nice, like how they do it, because like it's honestly like two movies in one already. So they kind of, and it's so like the transitions between like present and past are like really seamless. Like it doesn't take you like out of the moment, I guess, too much. So I think that's why sequel or prequel isn't a good idea. But yeah. All right, we'll keep it going. Parallel universe and trivia. I have some really interesting stuff in this one. I didn't think there would be that many, but I guess people want to post that. So first thing, the movie was shot in reverse, meaning that like the present day stuff was shot first, and then they shot out the college stuff. So I think that's a really good testament to how like the actors were able to like keep their characters like same. Because like I would have thought that like you develop your character from start to finish. Like you knew what they were like when they were young, so when they were older it's the same thing, but they did it in the reverse order, so I think they did that really well. Although Rancho is seen as a college student in the movie, Aamir Khan, when he made this movie, he was 44 years old, so he was actually only 5 years younger than the guy who played Virus. So yeah, Aamir Khan, he plays really young people. Like, he's really short, so
he's a
He hit
perfectionist of some
skincare
sort
routine,
too.
man. The man has no wrinkles, nothing.
If
Yeah.
you see,
Timeless.
there's another movie he does where it's called Dungle, but he plays
When he gets
a wrestler. Yeah,
shredded,
he plays a wrestler who then grows up. He like gives up on his dream, and then he has daughters, and he wants them to be wrestlers. And like
I've
in
seen
the
that
movie,
actually, yeah.
yeah, in the movie as a wrestler, he's like shredded, and then as a dad, he has like a big beer belly, and that's like natural. Like it's not a fat suit. Like he got like an actual like big belly to do it, but it's cool because he did the belly scenes first, and then he had like incentive to get in shape to film the rest. But he's a perfectionist, so I'm saying like he's very dedicated to getting in character.
Speaking of method acting to get in character, while shooting the drunk scene, Aamir Khan suggested
I
that
know
they all
this one.
drink.
Yeah, I know this
So
one.
they all got
mom told me
drunk,
that.
and
Yeah.
it took numerous retakes, and apparently they ran out of film when they were filming this and had to go get more because they spent too much.
That's a really
Actually,
good scene too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And I guess
they're
they were
it's-
actually drunk.
It makes
yeah.
sense that they're really drunk because like they're in the movie they're really
They're
drunk.
so incoherent. Like, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of which, there was a meme earlier this week that I sent, but like my mom sent it to me, but it's like everyone right now, and it's that exact scene, and it's on like Grouchy's like super drunk, and he's like, God, he's like, just do one thing. He's like, remove virus from this world. And it's like everyone right now.
That's good. That's good. Also, this movie was shot in Bangalore. I didn't know that. For me,
Bangalore
that's
boys.
yeah, that's where my grandparents live and my family comes from. So that was pretty cool for me. Next thing, that like scene where he's like flying the helicopter, like right when they find Joy's body. Aamir Khan wasn't allowed to fly the quadricopter. Like they just gave him like a remote control, and he was, quote, not very happy about it. So
I'd be pretty sad if I
yeah,
got
they're flying a
fly a
helicopter
drone
and they
and-
didn't let you.
I mean,
But yeah,
he'd be likely to screw it up probably.
yeah,
Like
he definitely would,
yeah.
especially if he got drunk. In 2013, Steven Spielberg praised Three Idiots as he's seen it 3 times, and he said he loved the emotional undertones, and he said this was one of the top 5 films that he's ever like connected with.
Dude, Steven and
Yep.
I have the exact same reaction then.
basically the same caliber. Of
I've
man,
seen it
like-
3 times. I like the emotional undertones.
His other favorite movies, I wrote them down, were The Godfather,
Yeah.
the last podcast, E.T., Saving Private Ryan, and Jaws. So if you like any of those, then you're Spielberg. Last trivia point that I have, and this one's a banger. I didn't know this. So Shah Rukh Khan was offered the role of Rancho originally, and he
No.
declined it to
Good.
play My Name is Khan, and he is
I've
referred to
seen that
himself
movie.
as the 4th idiot because he declined such a good movie.
I
You
don't
guys-
think he could have done it.
Oh,
No.
Will,
couldn't have
Kelly,
done
and
it.
Brian, do you guys know who Shah Rukh Khan is?
He's like the
Oh.
guy. isn't he?
Yeah.
He's-
So
he's the
basically, the
big
way
one,
the
the
way
big
that I
guy.
try to describe this to non-Indian people is that he's like the king of Bollywood. Like, is there like an American actor that like you could
Leonardo
compare?
DiCaprio.
Leonardo
No,
DiCaprio,
no, because
Robert De
no,
Niro,
'cause,
some,
like
but someone of
the
that
thing
level.
is,
Like,
the thing is, those are like really good actors. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad actor; he's pretty decent. But now, like, he gets off mostly just by being like a nostalgic hero. Like, most of his new movies now are like okay. Like in the olden days, he used to be really good, but most of his movies now are like okay. But everyone just loves him because like he's Shah Rukh Khan. Like he's the king, you know. But
yeah. But
Okay.
I don't think Shah Rukh Khan would play this role well. I really like Aamir Khan in this role.
Yeah,
Shah Rukh Khan
no
is
one else
more
could do
a
it.
serious like. He's the guy who defines like Bollywood like hero movies like.
yeah, he's the
Um,
one who he was like in the 80s and 90s as like the stereo, or not the 80s, I think, I don't know, but like he was like the stereotypical like rom-com hero star.
but yeah, he's in like every like indie movie ever. Like this is one of the few, and he obviously regrets not being in it because it was so good. So yeah, those are all my trivia points. We'll keep it
How
going.
did
in more
My Name Is
categories.
Khan do though? I've heard that.
It was a
that
terrible
before.
movie. It was
I
terrible.
haven't.
Never
I don't
mind.
remember. I might have seen
It was.
it.
I think it was one.
I
It's
thought
like,
it
it seemed
because I
like a
heard of
really
it.
interesting movie. I think it flopped though, but it was about like this dude named Khan, and he was profiled. He was like profiled because everyone thought he was a terrorist, and I think it was after some bombing, and it was about like how he was like wronged and like falsely accused and everything, and
Well,
people were just
wait,
like,
no, yeah, I thought you guys said it was awesome when you guys watched it, like in
I have
2008
not seen it.
or what? Akash or somebody. They were like, "Yo, I just watched this amazing video on terrorism." Like, it's
Uh,
I don't know.
There's a lot of movies about terrorism on now. I heard it flopped and it was not the not
Maybe
that
it did.
great. Definitely didn't do as good as this movie, so either way he
Yeah.
was a fool. Yeah.
He calls
will
himself the
say-
fourth idiot.
The one not trivia that I know is the writer for a lot of these big movies. Like a lot like Three Idiots, and I think there's like a few more big ones that you guys probably might not have heard of, but they're based off of books written by this dude named Chetan Bhagat, I think. You can look it up, but he's like the writer for like most of the big movies that have like actual plots and stuff like that. Like he's written the book for them, and I think he's like a very well-known book writer. So I don't know if that's trivia. but-
Yeah, I read this in trivia, but like when they made the movie and they were finished with it, the director was like, "It's about like 5% your book, like 95% ours."
yeah, that's
And
fair. But
after he saw it, he said like it's actually like 70%. So like it's
Okay.
pretty close. I don't know what the book's about or what. But
I haven't
I
read the
assume
book,
it's
but I just know he's read
close.
like a lot of famous movies are based off of his books because he's just like a famous writer, and he writes a lot of screenplays or like adaptations that people take. So.
All right, well, we'll keep going. Next category, personal impact. There's a lot of stuff we could say for this one. I had like two things really. First one is the education system and like just the mentality of being a student. I'm sure you guys have something along these lines as well. Honestly, like every day since this movie has come out, my dad has told me you should be more like Rencho and like learn
more like
for-
Farhan's
It's like
dad.
not the point of the
learn for the
movie.
sake of learn for the sake of like
My
learning and
dad's
not
like, I gotta be
um,
more strict on you. Will I realize?
It's like Farhan's dad really opened my eyes.
But yeah, he's honestly like he was kind of like that like when he's in school, from what I've heard from like his friends from college and stuff, that like he like really liked to
Dad
learn
was
and stuff
Rencho.
like that.
Oh.
But yeah,
Your dad was like
um,
Rancho. Is that what he
yeah.
said?
That's what I'm gonna
he,
tell
didn't-
my
he was
kid.
he wasn't as radical, but yeah.
That got drunk in the class.
Um,
It's like
Your dad. What does he study actually, or what does he
He's a
do
software
now?
engineer, so
Did he study computer science?
Yeah. pretty similar. Yeah. I said it's like it's really hard when you're in school and stuff and you're trying to learn something and you just hate it. Like I'm sure like you guys can all relate, and anyone listening to this can relate to like having to learn something that you don't want to. So it's really hard to like just force yourself to learn it, and that's why like cramming and stuff comes in. But I think like changing the way you think about how you learn is this concept that they explore a lot in this movie.
I think a personal impact. I watched this well before I went to college, and so I really had no idea how any of this stuff was. But it did paint a very scary picture in my mind at first, because like I was like, yo, this seems like intense, but
It's
like
people gonna
yeah,
be committing suicide at college
yeah,
when I
yeah,
go.
but like everything
Or
aside though, like it
it's
is,
gonna kill themselves.
yeah, it's very relatable in terms of, at least from like not the regular people, but like I mean like Raju and Farhan's point of view. Like obviously like none of us are like geniuses like Rancho and stuff, but I think like they have a very good point of view, you know, like, well, they both have different stories, but you know you're not going to be like, you need to just make sure that you're learning for yourself, and you shouldn't be scared of anything. And like, yeah, it's going to be tough because like if you go to a college, you got to just accept that like you're going to be with everyone else who's just as smart as you, so it's like hard to go from that transition. But it's a good point about like, you just got to learn and have a passion for it and make sure you don't like half-ass anything. So that was like a good takeaway, especially when I watched this before I went to college, because it's like freaked me out. But
Yeah, I think besides the like educational impact that we probably all took from it because we're all in college, for me it was like the relationships with like, I think they did such a good job of like Raju was the poor one, and then Farhan had the strict father. I mean, all the parents were strict, but like his, like, you know, like the not understanding father, and then Rancho had, I mean, the parents that basically just didn't exist, and then, you know, like I think they did such a good job of like showing every walk of life, even in like one concentrated engineering school. They showed so many different backgrounds and virus. Like, I think that's probably what I took, you know, and like it just relates to some. You see, you relate to somebody. I
Someone
feel
can
like.
relate to some
Yeah.
part of it at least.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's like not an easy thing to do. You know, you don't see that very often.
Mhm.
So, and it like is eye opening when you see someone you relate to. It just makes it the experience so much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Killian?
Yeah, my impact is unoriginal. It's just because I completely didn't know what to expect when I watched it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, that's like exactly our lives right now. So it spoke to me just purely academically speaking about like focusing like on learning again, because I feel like I personally got lost when I got to college in caring about grades, and I never really cared about grades in high school. So that to me was like a reality check, and I appreciated it. So it definitely made me reconsider like why I went into the major in the first place, like coming back to that.
yeah,
Brian?
I like the movie. I don't know. Like I said, I was
There's
very.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, dude, I was in Baltimore. There's nothing to do. I didn't know anybody. I was like, I need to kill some time. So I
You like
found a really good
gunshots
movie.
outside your window.
Yeah, you need to find some kind of story to get yourself lost in. But it was good movie overall. It just sort of, like you said, makes you reconsider why you're doing what you're doing and what the purpose really is, what your true motives are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like, I don't want to sound corny, but like I really like the whole like follow your dreams like aspect of it. We keep going back to that scene with Farhan's dad, but I like one of the memorable quotes that he's telling Farhan is like what are people gonna think, like you don't want to wake up in the future like blaming yourself, and Farhan says, but if I wake up and I'm sad, then I'm gonna be blaming you, and then I'd rather blame myself. So I think like doing something that you don't want to like wake up later full of regret is something that also is kind of scary, but also it's kind of cool to think about in terms of the movie. But yeah, those are my personal impacts. Anyone else have anything you want to share? Nope. All right. Last two categories then. Underrated first. So I actually, you guys can go first. Girish, underrated.
Okay. I think you said you touched upon this, and you're probably gonna mention it, but Raju's entire job interview is kind of overlooked.
Underrated.
Yeah, underrated.
You said
Like, it's
overlooked, not overrated.
Oh.
No. You answered the question right. I was telling Sujay. You said it was overlooked,
But does he
which
mean
also means it's
overlooked?
underrated.
Wait, no, this is an overrated thing. Never mind.
Oh.
It
So
sounds like you're going
underlooked.
into an
It's
overrated thing.
underlooked.
Yeah. Okay, my bad. But okay, underrated.
Oh, yeah.
No.
You're
It was just
giving him
bad
false confidence here,
vocabulary.
Kelly.
Yeah, I was like, I
No,
think
like
I'm
he was
wrong.
right,
It's like,
but
no,
he
no,
didn't
no.
know why he was right.
Your mistake was that you thought Girish was right.
I will say, I think
Underrated.
underrated thing, we've touched on it a lot throughout the podcast, but everyone's just like well developed. Like it's just a very good story. There's not many plot holes, so to say. There's like excusable lapses in logic, but other than that, like everyone's well developed, which is why Brian can pick like Farhan's dad, and I'm like, yeah, like you have a good point. Like everyone's just well developed. Like it's fair, yeah. It's just good at developing characters and painting stories. I think that's basically what we've been saying this entire podcast. So
Yeah, I can only like say the same thing. I guess like the whole movie's underrated to me. Like
That's fair.
yeah,
Well,
like,
in like our hemisphere.
yeah, exactly. But like the relationship, like the character development is just, like every single character and every single relationship is like it's just
they have motives. They have
yeah. You understand
sense.
everything. I don't know.
Yeah,
And it's a
even
long
like-
movie, so like, but like it's hard to make a 3 hour. You know, it's hard to justify a 3 hour movie. And like The Godfather was a little long winded, and The Irishman, man,
Oh, we didn't even finish
None of us
that.
finished.
holy shit.
Dude, we're gonna get so much hate. Like that's a critically acclaimed film, but
I
none
mean,
of us.
it's tough.
out of
Yeah, because all the
all
critics that
four
are
of
listening
us-
to this right now are like, well, fuck these guys.
But this movie is like I wanted to watch all 3 hours. You know, like
Yeah.
everyone's plot
You
was so
needed
well
at
done.
least 3 hours to develop all the
Yeah,
characters.
but
like
they
we
did it
said,
so
right?
well. There was no
Even-
dead time.
Even my boy Millimeter had his redemption at the end.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he's as minor as the characters get in this movie.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
But-
Kelly.
I think Pia, is it Pia or Pio?
yeah.
Yeah.
Pia, okay. I think her whole character is underrated. Like she doesn't play a huge part, but I think that we haven't talked about her, and I think that she added depth to the boys. But that's coming from a
Actually,
female
yeah.
perspective. Maybe
I
I'm
will-
adding depth right now.
There you go.
I will say that Pia, I don't think she's as much a story because the story is mostly about like the friendship and between these three
They just
idiots,
needed a
and-
love interest.
Yeah,
right?
It's mostly
After
about
it's
the
about
men,
that-
Kellyanne. Okay.
That reminds me,
What?
going back.
Said it's mostly about the men.
Going back to
But she is
that,
an
I think
important part. Yeah.
this is underrated. I feel like honestly, when you mentioned that, kind of reminds me. It's underrated how much they didn't not voice, but like make that the main point of the story. Because especially if you've
Yeah,
seen
I
a lot of
agree.
Indian movies, like
You don't want to
They'll
see like all
read-
romance.
yeah, like they'll really make the whole thing like pull the most obscure. They're like, oh, here's a female. Like we got to show time on her because we know she's gonna be the love interest. Like they really just didn't voice her. Like she was there when she needed to be. They didn't like try to voice any extra scenes with her for the most part, and like they focused the movie on like the story as opposed to trying to go to like a side. Like they had stuff with her, but it wasn't like voiced or anything. Like which is
Yeah, that's
something
in
a lot of
part-
Bollywood movies do. Like they just try to make it a rom-com, and it's like this doesn't need to be a rom-com. You don't need to voice too many romantic scenes. So
I mean, like in the
that's
movie, it's in part because like Raja knows that after college he has to leave. Like he can't be connected to any of these
Yeah.
people, so he doesn't on his part try to like start anything with her. And I think that's really good on his part, especially like watching it and in the context of the movie.
Also,
Yeah, Brian.
really quick. Wait, can I just say I
Yeah.
just realized like I mean I knew that there were like no females really like at the school. Like
There
I-
were,
There was a few. There was a
but
few.
like not like in
not
the
main
story.
characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I think they did a good job of like Kellyanne's an engineer. So like, obviously if you're not an engineer, you're probably not gonna like this movie nearly as much as we did. And like most of what we're saying is probably going over like you're like I don't agree
Not
with you at all.
relatable.
Yeah, but like Kellyanne is a female engineer, and you still found like most of the plot like relatable, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think they did a good job. I mean, obviously they could have just cast a woman, but
Nah.
But, like, well, I guess it wouldn't have been as like historically accurate for what it was. But
Yeah. I mean, that class is really
because there were
90%
women
male.
at the school, but like
was a few,
obviously the
but just
majority.
Yeah.
two
and
that-
Well, we
that's still
didn't
the
even
case
notice.
now,
Like
but-
Will didn't notice.
two that-
I wouldn't have
Due to
noticed
engineering, there was like two
yeah,
women.
like that's
so-
how it is at
Yeah.
States. So
Oh, well, to be fair, nowadays it's not as bad. It's probably
I
close
feel
to
like
Depends on-
mechanical
better.
classes are
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
bad still.
Mechanical's like
Air-
10%.
Aerospace. Yeah.
There's like never any Hispanic people.
mechanical
I
maybe,
think
but
in
like
a-
overall in engineering, I think it's closer to like 60-40.
BME
Yeah,
has the
like
most. That's because they're
BME, comp
BME's
sci,
inflating the
nuclear,
numbers, bro.
Chemical, but I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Yeah.
Anyways, point being, I think they did a good job of making it
Textile.
relatable to anyone in engineering, even if like you're specific, even if there wasn't like a Hispanic female in engineering, like there might be some Hispanic female watching the movie and was like, yeah, I relate to this.
But it still would have been nice to see female. I mean, that wasn't the point of it, but
Yeah, I know.
in
I
the
know.
future, like what single engineering movie has like ever been about a woman, unless the plot was about her being a woman in engineering? Like we
Gonna say
need women in
Hidden
engineering
Figures, but-
who aren't obsessed with
That's
being women
literally
in engineering.
about the fact that you're a
Hidden
woman.
Figures.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hidden
whatever.
Figures.
Yeah, I was about to. Anyway,
Yeah, Brad, so you.
I'll
so
be
you
quick.
underrated.
I have 2 underrated points.
Only way
First,
I know how,
I think
baby.
Betty Havasata Wall, very underrated
A
song.
little
I don't
bit.
know why people don't. I think it's honestly the best song, but I don't know. I don't think it's given enough credit. Maybe it's because it's in the
Yeah.
beginning, people forget about it. But when I listened back on it, I was like, damn, this is some good stuff. Second
Very
underrated
inspirational
point,
lyrics.
I mean, it was just good singing,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
like
Instrumental, yeah.
cinematography. Yeah. The second underrated point, I thought Pia's sister was more attractive than Pia. I think she was very underrated.
Underrated.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Out of the 2 sisters, like I thought that, like I don't know, if I was Rancho, like you went after the wrong one. Like,
There's a lot to unpack here. First,
You're
they're
doubling
married.
down.
They went to her wedding.
Yeah, they met at her sister's
Pia was
wedding.
pregnant
engaged.
for
That
half
didn't
the
stop them from
movie.
literally ripping her out of like when they were about to say.
Can't get over that you called it
No.
underrated. She's more attractive.
That's the best part, but it's like I think it's underrated. I'm like, his sister's better looking. But
It's not brought up enough. Like I don't see. Like,
It's not
you
brought
no,
up enough.
quick pull. Like go down. Like Will, do you out of the 2, Pia and I don't even know her name, but like, which one do you think?
We
is more
don't
attractive?
see her a lot.
The
But,
nameless
yeah,
beauty.
I'd probably say
Which
her
one?
sister, yeah.
Oh, there you go, Kellyanne. What do you think?
I don't remember what they look like. I didn't go back and rewatch it.
Google, just look it up real quick in Google Images.
Oh, her
Pia
sister's name was
and
Mona.
her sister,
Mona.
3
Mona.
idiots.
Mona, yeah.
There's Mona, yeah.
Girish, who do you think is more attractive?
Dude, Pia, man.
Are you
I will say they did not do Kareena Kapoor like justice in this movie. Like she is a lot more pretty. I think they made her
No,
look a little bit
regardless of
nerdy.
like who she is as a
nerdy in this
like
movie.
of the character Pia and Mona,
Yeah.
who do you think is more
Yeah.
attractive?
I think Pia.
Yeah, I'll say Pia because like Mona's like pregnant for half the movie.
What is that? No,
Wow,
that's based on-
Sujay.
Now that's not saying that pregnant women can't be attractive, but I'm just saying
It's like that How I Met Your Mother episode.
it's like that.
Alright,
opposite
Kellyanne's the
episode, it's like-
tiebreaker. Who do you think is more attractive?
I can't. Someone send me a picture.
Look it up.
What's the name of the actress? Do you
Look
know?
up 3 Idiots
Kareena Kapoor.
cast.
Kareena Kapoor's Pia, but
Oh wait,
But
I'll look up
the
Mona.
picture-
Is that her name?
The sister.
Oh no, I don't think she's prettier.
What?
We
What?
have a winner.
I would vote it.
What
Anyway.
picture are you
That's why-
basing this off
That's why it's underrated though. Not
Yeah,
enough people.
yeah.
That's why it's underrated, Brian.
This is
Oh,
what
wait.
you wanted. This
The
is what you
host
You're the
wanted.
needs
minority.
to allow me to screen share.
Oh,
Sujay.
sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, we're this is the picture for.
Yeah, what picture are you
This
going
is gonna
off
be
of? Like, I don't.
broadcasted, so make sure your computer is clean.
So you can see I'm looking up 3 Idiots budget. Wait, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to. Yeah, so this is. the
That's
picture I
not
was
what she
looking
looked like in the movie, though.
at.
That's
No, it's not. Where? Which one? I thought she looked good in this picture. Like she looks worse here.
She looks better in that picture than she. Okay, not that one.
Like. I don't know, man. She's not doing it for me. She's pretty.
Also, kind of
though.
the
She's
whole thing of
prettier.
seeing her give birth was not the biggest
Could have done without.
turn on for me. It maybe
I'm
for
not
you.
taking all these other factors. I'm just saying, like, if I
I
saw
agree
her
with Brian.
together,
Just
like,
based on the 2 faces, I would I'd pick.
That's why it's underrated. That's why it's underrated.
All right, fine.
I rest my
You got
case,
you get the underrated vote.
I love how Brand's points.
okay.
I love how Brand's underrated points was like, this song is the best one. Like, it's nice. Like, okay, that's right. It's like, also, this sister's hotter. Like, for sure. It's not mentioned enough.
We don't talk about it enough.
Wait, you guys ever watch 3 Idiots and then not talk about? Okay.
I actually don't think it's ever been brought up until today.
No one has ever said that before.
It's truly underrated.
Yeah.
The definition of underrated right there.
All right. I'll do my underrated. You guys touched on some of the things that I was thinking as well. First thing, it's 3
I knew
hours,
it,
but
Brian.
it doesn't feel that long. I was genuinely engaged throughout like a lot of the scenes in the movie, and there's no like dead time like Will was saying. So I think that's why it doesn't feel like it's that long. I also said not too many songs, which I liked about it. A lot of Bollywood movies kind of just like bash you over the head with like a musical every like 5 minutes, and this was kind of different than that. I've already talked about the seamless transitions, all the closure that comes in like the character arcs ending, all the plot kind of gets resolved as well. And I think it, like the whole like the last scene of the movie is also just like a period on like this amazing sentence, I guess, of the movie. And finally, I said it's relatable for a lot of Indian people because like we all understand the struggle, but I think it easily translates the struggle to like non-Indian people, like you guys who like watched it and you like totally understood what was happening, and like it wasn't like some like specific niche movie that like only we could understand.
Yeah,
like,
you didn't need to
it's
grow up
engineering.
watching Bollywood movies to enjoy it. I feel like,
Yeah,
like you
and
didn't have
like-
to be like, oh, this is a Bollywood movie, so I have to take
Throw
these things into
shade right
account.
now, Kelly.
No, I'm just like sometimes
Yep.
like if you grow up liking some movies, then you're just used
It's
to it. and
it's like
other
an
people might
acquired
not.
taste, but this is
Yeah,
a good
but this
like.
one wasn't. Yeah, like you didn't have to be like, oh, well, be prepared for a lot of musical numbers.
That's what I
Yeah,
said, though. I said,
that plus what Will was saying about like how you didn't have to be like in Indian male and engineering, like all these factors, like
I think being an engineer would have helped a little, but
engineering might have
for
helped,
sure.
but demographic wise, you don't need to be in there.
I mean, there's
But,
probably people that aren't engineers that still, like anyone.
Oh, I
with
mean, anyone who
My
has a
whole
hard time
family
in
liked
school,
this
like
movie,
yeah,
and none
yeah,
of them
like
are
I don't think engineer it has to be engineering specific.
Yeah, it works for medicine
Someone
too. It's fine.
who's maybe forced to do something in college that maybe they isn't their actual passion,
I feel like anyone who had a strict parent, like at all, can relate in some way to this movie.
yeah.
Also, I like
Alright.
how we're dancing around the fact that this is the best Bollywood movie because it's the least Bollywood of all Bollywood movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
little bit, but that's more personally. I feel like the genre. There are really good Bollywood movies that
Blind Piano Man.
are Bollywood, but we have not seen them, or at least you guys haven't. I've seen some that I don't know, Girish, what your favorite is outside of this one.
They're all Aamir Khan movies mostly, other than Blind Piano Man.
Yeah, I will say Om Shanti Om is good. I like Om Shanti Om.
It's okay. It's okay.
It has good songs. That's
It has
one
good
thing.
song. It's a classic Bollywood movie. I mean, if you like Bollywood movies, you'll like it.
Yeah, that's the most Bollywood movie I know.
It's quite
All right, any other underrated before we move to the last one? All right, overrated. This is the time. I think we'll start with the very general, that there's a lot of like movie magic moments that like they kind of resolve things just for the sake of it. Chris, you want to talk about?
Yeah, so this is what I was actually going to talk about. Yeah, so Raju's whole interview is kind of overlooked, but it is kind of resolved just for movie magic.
That's not
but
how the
it's-
word overlooked is used, but okay.
Yeah, it's overlooked how easily it's resolved.
I still don't think you're using the
Yeah.
word right.
You know what?
You might even say it's overrated.
Yeah.
But like it's just like the whole interviews, he's like, yeah, it's like, why are you in a wheelchair? He's like, oh, I attempted suicide. It's like, oh no, that's terrible. It's like, why? It's like, I pissed on the dean's house. Like, and he still gets the job. It's like, okay, like you're gonna have to ignore that a little bit. Like, imagine going to like we've all had interviews at this point. Like, would you say that? Like, obviously none of us have done something that bad, but like would you be like, oh, I got drunk and like did something stupid at a party and that's why I have like a cast on right now? Like, no, you just make something up. Like,
I will say that
I was
For
performing
interviews,
charity.
like
what I would say.
yeah, if you're in an interview, like interviewers do like it when you show some personality, but this guy goes to like next levels of like, yeah, I committed.
Yeah,
like,
if
I
you
only
upset me, I'll
personality.
piss in your house too.
I got
I
expelled.
will be that
like-
employee. No,
I
but
think-
I think it was him trying to stand out a bit, and it really,
It
in that
was,
sense,
he
it
did do
did
that.
work.
He
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
that
then
was a little
I
bit like,
think
oh, okay,
I-
no, that wouldn't happen.
I think also relating to your whole point of stuff that's overlooked is the idea that they kind of address it in the movie a little, like comically, but like they kidnap Pia from a wedding, and then they're like, okay, great. It's like one more thing. It's like we don't know if Rancho's married yet either. It's like, what if he is? Like, then he'll just drop you back, and it's like it's kind of funny, but like
Yeah, it's funny,
if you
but like
think about it
could be.
logically, like it works out, but like they just like they gate crashed. First off, this is the second one of he had 2 daughters. They gate crashed both of their weddings, so like it's already a bad look. And like it's just overlooked a little, but it's kind of funny. It's funny, but like they don't really think about like, yeah, that could well have
Like
happened.
in
like,
real
it's
life, that would not
continuous.
be funny.
Yeah, it's like, are you kidding me?
They paid this much money for like a wedding, and then they just kidnap her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think most of the things that are overrated are just movie magic details or logic. Like they just skip a few steps in logic. Also, the whole homework answers thing, like Will mentioned earlier. Like, it's like, here's the homework answers, pal. It's like we pulled off an elaborate ice way. This is like, you know what? I don't need this. I'm gonna
Yeah.
learn on my. It's like, no. Come on.
If I had one overrated to say, it would be like how, and again, it's like you had to fit this into a 3-hour movie, but if it would be like how easily Rancho was able to like convince everyone, or at least like his friends, that like to do it the way he's doing it, you know, and like, you know, like we all know
All
that
his
grade,
philosophy, yeah.
yeah, like we all know grades aren't as important as they seem, and yet it's still very, very hard to not like, given the opportunity to get 100 on a test, to turn that down, you know, out of principle. Like that's not something that just happens overnight, you know. You can't, not someone's not just going to tell you to do that and then you're like, you know what, you're right. Like that's
Yeah.
it's more complicated than that, and like they had to
Yeah.
like simplify it for the sake of the movie, but I guess that'd be my thing.
My overrated, I did not at all like that stupid birth scene, and the way it was just like, oh, apply your engineering principles, and then you'll be able to birth a baby with this like ventilator or something. Like,
See,
no.
it's all-
Vacuum.
It's a vacuum.
Yeah, a vacuum. Like that's not how it works. That's like just I don't know. I just thought it was like glorifying what engineering is. Like just because you're an engineer doesn't like it like triggered me. I was like just another like someone is gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna be an engineer so I can fucking do shit. Like, ugh.
That's like Apollo
I
13.
think it was more the problem solving mentality than
Yeah.
anything
No, I
they
know.
actually like they didn't learn any of that in class, obviously, but
Yeah, I know, but I thought it was cheesy and
no, I also
thought it was
had that
idealistic.
because I said the same scene, but at the end of it, when the baby comes back to life, when they're saying all is well, it's like,
Oh
all
yeah,
right.
well, I can't believe I
Like-
forgot to mention
That's
that
canceled.
they that's like actually one of the I can't believe we all just overlooked
That's
that.
not
but-
like integral to the plot, you know. I mean, at
It's
least
not,
it's,
but
you know,
it's just like a okay,
it's
like feel good
forgiven,
moment.
yeah.
so
But yeah,
dumb, yeah, they did not have to do that. When
I
the
was
baby-
curious, can babies actually hear when they're born? And apparently babies can only hear like high pitched frequencies. So having a bunch of grown men saying all is well like, in a room would
well,
not
I
have-
guess the point isn't that like the baby heard it, but like the like
Yeah.
some higher power or something. I don't know.
yeah,
Just that it happened.
it's a like a accepted moment, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's a little bit all right.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Brian, do you have anything?
Pia.
Yeah, I mean,
He is overrated
She's
for
not
Brian.
that good looking. Yeah.
Pia's attractiveness is
say-
overrated.
His face.
yeah.
Pia's face.
I think it's under.
I mean, I guess
So-
I could do without like maybe 3 or
Pia.
4 of the
Yeah.
characters that was in there. Like even though you said it's like, okay, yeah, it's a 3-hour movie because they had to develop all the characters, I still would have preferred if maybe they cut out some of these other, like Millimeter, like did they really need to have
Millimeter's the only one that, yeah.
But like
He's
and
just like a minor one-off, like, he's
Pia
not part of it
all,
too
like that
much.
whole thing, like I feel like you could cut out so much and still like have a shorter movie and it just be fine. I'm not saying that, you know, I mean that's why I think it's overrated, because people think it's, you know, 3 hours is long, or it's even though it's a 3-hour movie, it's fine the way it is. But I could still stand it being a little shorter.
Yeah. Another one of the things that I had that is like another like movie magic moment is that how like Chatur is basically obsessed with Phunksik Wangdu and like adding him to his company, and he has no idea what he looks like. Like this isn't the present. This is when like the internet exists.
Yeah, fucking Google
And this
him.
dude has like hundreds of patents and stuff. So how does no one know what he looks like?
To be fair though, they were using flip phones in the end of the movie,
Yeah.
so
But
the
still, like
you
internet's
know
not really the
exactly
internet,
how
yeah.
high tech we were at that
Yeah,
point.
like
I thought it was like early 2000s, like that era, but he still would have been like noticed for like people
But
would
yeah,
know
I mean,
what
for someone who like was that important to him in his
of
life,
his
he probably
caliber,
could have
yeah.
figured out what he looked like.
But yeah, I think that was just for the reveal of like, oh, Rancho is Phunksik Wangdu. So
The end
Yeah,
of
I think
the
it
end of the
is-
movie, yeah.
I think
Go
it
ahead.
is funny how the way they find him is like he saw like he had a secretary. He had a secretary go visit Phuntsuk Wangadu, right? She visited not him, but she visited someplace where he happened to be, and they took a picture, and he just happened to be in the background of that picture, and they're like, "Oh, that's a guy Joe, like we gotta go there."
yeah, there's a lot of convenient stuff that happens, but
Yeah.
I think it all works out in the end. Any other overrated? Nope. All right, well then this is the end of our episode. This is also the end of our first season of Overrated. I'd like to take this time and say personally, thank you if you've ever listened to any episode of Overrated. When I first decided to make this podcast, I didn't think anyone was going to be interested. So anytime someone like comes and tells me they like the episode or something, it really means a lot. So thank you for taking time to listen to this. We are going to take probably a short break for maybe a few weeks. I have ideas for season 2 and possible spin-off podcasts. So I will be posting about that whenever I finalize whatever I'm planning to do. But otherwise, thank you for listening. Continue to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is where this whole video will be posted, and follow our Instagram as well at Overrated Podcast. But otherwise, yeah, thank you for listening. And this is Overrated.